Now time for the markets with Leighton. What you got for us today?
Well, another weekend, yet another case confirmed of bird flu in chickens. Also ahead this week in the markets, some expect cotton plantings to exceed the latest USDA forecast. The soybean market is hard hit by supply-demand numbers, while the pork sector deals with some wild shifts in contract prices. Well, we're recording just prior to release of the pivotal prospective plantings report that comes out March 31st. There is some expectation the cotton plantings number could be even higher than any of the pre-report guesses.
There's been discussion that we'll probably see a few additional acres out there. Not that it's going to be huge. I mean, it's just such an investment to really swing back over to cotton. That said, this has been a nice rally in the cotton market. The incentive does seem to be there to do that. Now, granted, the rally back looked very impressive, or sounds very impressive, up 1% for the week. We're really just kind of back to the same resistance we've been over the last 2 to 3 weeks.
And May settled at 76.88 at close Tuesday. That's down from the 78.36 you saw on your screen there in the last story. Meanwhile, the soybean trade was caught by surprise when this month's supply and demand figures came out. Extension's Brian Williams says between more Brazilian beans and higher U.S. ending stocks, it was a 1-2 punch to the bean market. How are soybeans hit the hardest in this report?
Well, probably the biggest thing and most importantly was the numbers coming out of Brazil. We had known for quite a while Brazil was looking for a record crop, and that was and even before this report came out, there was those numbers out there. But this report bumped that up even more. We saw them increase Brazilian production by another 4 million tons. And then second thing in the report that hit the soybeans was the ending stocks were increased by about 15 million bushels here in the U.S., which was a little bit of a surprise. Because
the trade was actually expecting ending stocks to be reduced, right?
They were, and to be steady or slightly reduced, yeah. And a lot of it, I think, is because of that crop in Brazil, and they've maybe taken a little bit of exports away from us, and that's where the numbers were moving in the soybean report was exports.
And we knew Brazil had a lot of soybeans, but just not as many as this report ended up saying.
Right, and we've been talking about this for months now, and now they're starting to get their harvest ramped up, and we're seeing big numbers coming out of Brazil. So it wasn't too big of a surprise, but this big crop just seems to keep getting bigger and bigger.
So will this Brazil situation have a lingering impact as far as the market and prices?
I think it will, and especially when you combine that with what we're seeing here in the U.S. A couple weeks ago, USDA released some of their preliminary numbers for acreage here, and we're expecting probably at least about a 5 million acre increase in soybeans planted here in the U.S. So when you combine more planted acres here with that Brazilian numbers, it's probably going to have a lasting impact on the markets.
Now on the corn side, was that also impacted by this Brazil situation?
It was. On the corn side, we also saw a larger increase, a larger production in South America and an increase in exports coming out of South America as well.
And final question, were the U.S. ending stocks for corn really that much different than the last report?
Ending stocks were actually unchanged. We saw some movement within corn, but overall it resulted in basically no change on stocks.
Time now for our trivia quiz on Farm Week. A little national ag history with this quiz question. How many secretaries of agriculture have there been since 1889 when the job was first created? Is the answer A, 24, B, 30, C, 41, or D, 49? We'll have that answer coming up for you. The U.S. Senate Ag Committee has yet to vote on whether to recommend Sonny Perdue for confirmation as U.S. Secretary of Agriculture. Perdue answered questions from committee members for a couple of hours back on March 23rd. Well, there is some optimism out there for the future direction of hog prices. This despite what some call a smashing of lean hog contracts in the waning days of the month of March. Trader Ted Seifert.
Yeah, I do like the hog story, and I do think that we've had our deeper correction. It's gotten actually kind of quiet, which may be signaling that we're getting to the end of this. It could also be a midway congestion point, but I think likely this is kind of where we're going to base out a little bit and then maybe see a bounce and go try, reach up towards those highs again.
April lean hogs settled at 65.10 at the close on Tuesday, down from the 68.18 you saw on your screen just now. And updating avian influenza to close, the state of Georgia now reports a confirmed case of bird flu in commercial chickens there. The flock was in northwest Georgia near the Alabama state line. Well, at the end of the markets now, and we wrap things up with our trivia answer for this week. And the correct choice is B. There have been 30 secretaries of agriculture since 1889.